I was folding laundry in the living room, surrounded by the quiet hum of our simple home, when I heard my son's small voice from the backyard. "Mommy, what's this?" he called, his tone confused but calm. I smiled, thinking he'd found a bug or a feather like he always did, but when I walked outside, I saw him standing frozen by his toy truck. The summer sun lit up his blonde hair, and in his tiny hand was a folded piece of yellow paper, worn and torn at the edges. My stomach tightened instantly. Something about the way he looked at me, wide-eyed and serious, made the world blur for a moment. I took the note from his trembling fingers. I didn't know then that my life was about to fracture into something I'd only seen in movies. I unfolded the paper slowly, feeling the rough fibers against my fingertips, almost afraid of what words could carry so much weight to freeze my son like that. Written in shaky, hurried handwriting were 5 words that burned into my mind instantly. "He knows. Take the money." My breath caught in my throat. I glanced around the yard, scanning the rustling trees and the old wooden fence as if expecting someone to be watching us right then. My son tugged on my shirt, his small voice shaking. "Mommy, what does it mean? Who knows?" I forced a smile down at him, my heart thudding so hard I thought he might hear it. "It's nothing, baby. Just some trash someone left here." But deep down, I knew this wasn't trash. This wasn't a prank. Because there was something about those words, the way "he knows" was underlined twice, that made my blood run cold. I picked up the toy truck, examining every inch. And that's when I saw it. Taped underneath, a tiny black device with a blinking red light. I didn't scream. I didn't panic. I just stood there, holding my son close, my mind screaming silently. Call the FBI. Now. If this story resonates with you, please hit like and subscribe. It helps more people discover these true stories of silent power. I carried my son inside without saying a word, locking every door and pulling down the blinds. My hands were trembling so badly I nearly dropped the truck, but I forced myself to stay calm. I told my son to sit on the couch and watch cartoons, kissing his forehead with a smile that hid my rising terror. Then I grabbed my phone and stepped into the hallway, closing the door softly behind me. My fingers hovered over the screen for a moment, my mind racing. Who do you call when you find something like this? The police? A private investigator? But then I remembered what my husband once told me before he left us, back when he still worked for the government. If anything ever feels bigger than local cops, call the FBI first. I never imagined I'd need to remember that advice. I dialed, my breath shaking, listening to the endless ring before a calm female voice answered, "Federal Bureau of Investigation. How can I direct your call?" I swallowed hard. There's a device taped under my son's toy truck, and a note saying, "He knows. Take the money. Please." I don't know what this means, but I think someone's watching us. The woman on the line didn't gasp or panic. Her voice remained calm, almost cold, as she said, "Ma'am, I need you to remain where you are. Do not touch the device again. Are you alone in the house?" I glanced at my son, who was humming softly to his cartoons in the living room, completely unaware that our lives had shifted into a nightmare. "Just me and my son," I whispered, pressing my back against the wall as if it could keep me safe. "We're in the living room. The device is on his toy truck in the yard." There was a pause. Then the woman said, "Agents are being dispatched to your location now. They will arrive within 20 minutes. Stay on the phone with me until they get there." I slid down to the floor, my knees pulled to my chest, feeling the cold tiles through my jeans. 20 minutes felt like 20 hours. Every creak of the wood, every gust of wind against the windows made me flinch. My mind replayed the note's words over and over. "He knows. Take the money. Who knew? And what money?" My ex-husband's shadow flickered through my mind again, bringing back secrets I thought were buried forever. If this story resonates with you, please hit like and subscribe. It helps more people discover these true stories of silent power. Minutes crawled by with the suffocating slowness of nightmares. I stayed pressed against the hallway wall, whispering reassurances to my son every time he called out, asking why I looked so scared. "I'm just tired, baby," I lied softly, my eyes locked on the curtains that swayed slightly in the breeze of the old AC. Then, through the blinds, I saw them. Two black SUVs pulling up silently, their tinted windows reflecting the morning sun. My chest tightened with a sudden rush of relief and dread combined. Within seconds, men and women in dark suits were moving across my yard with swift, quiet precision. One agent, a tall woman with dark hair pulled into a low bun, knocked gently on my door. "Ma'am, I'm Agent Carter with the FBI. Please step back from the entrance." I obeyed without a word, scooping my son into my arms as they entered, their eyes scanning every corner of my small home. Agent Carter knelt in front of me, her gaze sharp yet kind. "We need to ask you some questions. Has anyone contacted you about money recently?" I shook my head, tears filling my eyes. "No, but my ex-husband. He worked for Homeland Security before he disappeared last year." Agent Carter's eyes narrowed slightly, not with suspicion, but with an intensity that told me she was connecting invisible dots in her mind. "Disappeared," she repeated, glancing at another agent who began typing rapidly on a small tablet. "Yes," I whispered, tightening my arms around my son, who was now asleep against my chest, exhausted by confusion and fear. "He left for work one morning and never came back. They said he abandoned his post, that he ran off with stolen money. But I never believed it. He wouldn't leave his son like that." My voice cracked, shame washing over me like a familiar tide. For a year, I had lived with people's whispers behind my back. She married a thief. He ran away from her. But now, looking at the note and the blinking device, a deeper fear settled inside me. Agent Carter spoke softly. "Ma'am, we believe your husband may not have run away. This note, this device, it may be connected to something much larger. For your safety and your son's, we need you to come with us immediately." My throat closed. Larger? How much larger could betrayal become before it swallowed my life whole? If this story resonates with you, please hit like and subscribe. It helps more people discover these true stories of silent power. I packed a small bag under Agent Carter's instructions, stuffing clothes for me and my son with trembling hands. Every zipper that closed sounded like a lock sealing away the life we once had. As we stepped outside, the morning sun felt too bright, almost cruel, lighting up the fear etched into every corner of my being. The agents formed a protective circle around us, their radios crackling with clipped words I couldn't understand. Agent Carter guided me to one of the black SUVs, opening the door with urgency. "Where are we going?" I asked, my voice hollow as I buckled my son into his seat. "To a secure location," she replied, "until we understand who left that note and what they want from you." I sank into the leather seat beside my son, holding his tiny hand. As the car pulled away, I watched our house shrink behind us through the tinted window. My chest tightened with grief, anger, and a growing realization. My life wasn't just changing, it was being rewritten by secrets I had never been meant to discover. And somewhere, someone was watching to see what I'd do next. The ride felt endless, each mile carrying me further away from everything familiar. My son slept, his head resting on my lap as I ran my fingers through his soft hair, trying to memorize the peace on his face. Agent Carter spoke softly from the front seat, breaking the heavy silence. "We're taking you to a safe house just outside the city. There, we can brief you and decide the next steps." I nodded, though I barely understood what she meant. My mind was spinning with fragments of memories. My husband's late-night calls that ended abruptly when I entered the room, the strange men who sometimes watched our house from parked cars down the street, and his tired eyes on the morning he disappeared, whispering as he kissed my forehead. "No matter what happens, protect our son." I thought he was being dramatic back then. Now those words felt like a prophecy I had ignored. As the SUV turned off the highway onto a narrow road lined with pine trees, a thought cut through my fear like cold steel. If he was alive, what had he done to bring this terror into our lives? And was he trying to save us, or save himself? If this story resonates with you, please hit like and subscribe. It helps more people discover these true stories of silent power. We arrived at a small, unmarked cabin hidden among towering pines. The air smelled of moss and cold earth as Agent Carter led us inside swiftly. The walls were lined with monitors and equipment humming quietly, and a tall man in a gray suit turned to greet us. "I'm Agent Morris," he said, his eyes scanning me with clinical precision. "We need to ask you some urgent questions." I held my son close as he slept against my chest, his small breaths warm on my skin. "Did your husband ever mention Project Haven?" he asked suddenly. My heart dropped. "Project Haven? No. What is that?" Agent Morris exchanged a grim glance with Agent Carter before replying, "It's an off-books intelligence program that went dark 5 years ago. Your husband was on their clearance list. We believe he tried to expose something, and now they're making their move." My hands trembled. "Expose what?" I whispered. Agent Morris sighed heavily. "We don't know yet, but that note on your son's toy truck? It's a message to you. Someone wants you to take money meant to keep him quiet, and if you don't, they may come for you next." Agent Morris motioned for me to sit as he pulled up files on a glowing monitor. My knees felt weak, and I sank into the cold metal chair, clutching my son protectively. "We believe your husband transferred classified data onto a secure drive," he said, clicking through images of codes, transactions, and blurry CCTV captures of my husband in airports and empty parking garages. "He tried to leak this data to an independent journalist 6 months before he vanished, but the journalist disappeared too." My pulse roared in my ears. What kind of data?" I managed to ask. Agent Carter spoke softly, her words almost gentle despite their weight. "Data proving government funds were siphoned into private offshore accounts under false security projects. Billions, hidden under fake terror prevention initiatives." I felt sick. My husband, the man I loved. Had he risked his life to stop this, or been part of it until guilt consumed him? My eyes burned with tears I refused to let fall. I looked down at my sleeping son and whispered to myself, "No matter what happens, I will protect you, even if it costs me everything." If this story resonates with you, please hit like and subscribe. It helps more people discover these true stories of silent power. Agent Morris leaned forward, his gaze locked onto mine with a quiet urgency. "We need your help," he said. "Whoever left that note knows your husband trusted you. They believe you know where the drive is." I shook my head desperately. I swear I don't." My voice cracked, echoing in the silent room. But as the words left my mouth, fragments of old memories flashed like broken glass in my mind. Nights when he came home late, smelling of rain and metal. Mornings when he hugged me tighter than usual, whispering, "If anything ever happens, check the toy box." At the time, I thought he meant for bills or documents hidden from collectors during our financial struggles. But now, sitting in that cold cabin, those words pulsed with new meaning. My breath hitched as Agent Carter noticed the shift in my eyes. "What is it?" she asked softly. I swallowed hard, my heart pounding in my throat. "The toy box," I whispered. Before he left, he told me to check the toy box if anything ever happened. Agent Morris stood immediately. "Where is it?" Tears blurred my vision. "At home. It's still in the living room." Within minutes, a tactical team was being organized to retrieve the toy box from my home. Agent Carter stayed by my side as I sat frozen in the small kitchen area, staring at my son who played with a set of plastic dinosaurs, blissfully unaware of the chaos swirling around us. My mind replayed every morning spent picking up his toys. Every night I tucked him into bed next to that box, never knowing it could be the key to saving our lives. "Ma'am," Agent Carter said gently, pulling me back to the present. "We're sending in a team now, but I need you to prepare for what comes next. If this drive is found, you and your son will not be able to return home for some time. You'll be placed under protective custody." I nodded numbly, feeling my entire reality being shredded and rebuilt with each passing hour. "Do you think he's still alive?" I whispered. Agent Carter looked away, her jaw tightening. "If he is, this could be what brings him back. If he's not, this is what he died protecting." My chest ached with grief, hope, and a rising anger that felt like quiet fire beneath my ribs. They thought I'd stay silent. They were wrong. Hours later, the cabin door burst open with a cold draft as two agents carried in a small, battered wooden toy box, its blue paint chipped from years of my son's play. My heart stopped as they set it on the metal table before Agent Morris. With gloved hands, he unlatched the lid and sifted through the jumble of plastic cars, tiny soldiers, and crumpled stickers until he reached the bottom. There, taped beneath a false wooden panel, was a slim black USB drive. The room fell silent. Agent Morris lifted it carefully, inspecting the faint letters etched on its side. Project Haven. Final Ledger. Agent Carter glanced at me, her eyes full of something that looked like respect. Your husband hid this to keep it out of the wrong hands, and he trusted only you to find it. Tears spilled down my cheeks as a deep, aching love for him twisted with anger for the burden he'd left behind. But beneath it all was something stronger. Resolve. I looked at my son playing on the floor, unaware his toy box had just saved lives. They thought I'd break under fear, but I was born from quiet storms, and now they will know it. The agents worked through the night, decrypting files on the USB drive while I sat in a corner, wrapped in a wool blanket, watching my son sleep peacefully on a makeshift cot. The glow from their monitors cast harsh shadows on the walls, flickering over Agent Carter's focused face. Occasionally, I heard words like embezzlement, contractor fraud, and classified immunity clauses. Each term felt like another crack splitting open the world I thought I knew. Around dawn, Agent Morris approached me, his expression grave yet triumphant. We have enough here to indict half a dozen executives and at least 3 government officials, he said quietly. Your husband risked everything to expose this. You and your son, you're part of the reason justice will happen. Tears blurred my vision as I whispered, what happens to us now? He paused before replying. We'll relocate you both, new identities until this is over. It's not just protection, it's rebirth. I looked at my son's peaceful face, feeling sorrow, love, and a fierce determination rise in my chest. They tried to use my family as silence, but we will be their echo of truth. A week later, I stood by a dusty roadside under a pale sunrise, holding my son's small hand as we waited for the unmarked car that would take us to our new lives. He looked up at me with sleepy eyes and asked, Mommy, are we going on an adventure? I knelt down, brushing his blonde hair from his forehead, and smiled despite the tears stinging my eyes. Yes, baby, the biggest one yet. The car pulled up, and Agent Carter stepped out, her calm presence wrapping around me like a final promise of safety. As we drove away, leaving behind the home that once held our laughter and secrets, I watched the sun climb higher, its light chasing away the darkness of the past. In my chest burned a silent vow. They tried to bury us under fear and lies, but like seeds in dark soil, we will rise stronger, quieter, and unstoppable. Because in the end, justice wasn't loud, it was silent, it was steady, and sometimes it looked like a mother and her son, driving down a forgotten road toward a future no one could ever take from them again. Thank you for watching until the end. If you've ever lived through something similar, share your story in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe, because sometimes the loudest impact is made in silence.